Thank you everybody for joining. We almost got 20 people. Now we got 20 people. So this is a very exciting opportunity for I think for all of us. Thank you for joining the CIE Chat seminar. And today we are very lucky to have Dr. John Klein, who is the Executive Vice President for Research and Innovation for University of Louisville, and also the director for the Louisville Clinical and Translational Research Center. So Dr. Klein will discuss the Louisville Clinical and Translational Research Center and the resources that we might all use. And then after that, I will discuss U of L Health research projects we've been working on over the last year, and hopefully we can tie that to your research projects. Dr. Klein, please.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for asking Jiapeng and I to present today. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and Jiapeng, just go ahead and call them up because I'm not seeing it.
I see it. Actually, I see your screen, but I don't see the slides.
You see the slides now?
Yes, okay. I see the slides. Looking
excellent. Great. We're mastering technology after 5 years plus. Well, okay, so we're going to talk very succinctly, I hope, about the clinical and translational research development at the university. And the first part I'll handle, as Jiapeng says, the overview of the Louisville Clinical Translational Research Center. So this is a center that is something a wide variety of us have pursued for over a decade. This is a P20 grant from the NIGMS IDEA State program. We were fortunate enough to finally get funded last July. And our goal is to build this, high impact and clinical translational research center at U of L, but also to branch it out through U of L Health and through other healthcare systems with whom we partner. The goal, and we are not there by any stretch of the imagination, is to create a single point of contact for clinical and translational studies to access the resources in this grant. It's a daunting task because we are part of a healthcare system that was put together in the middle of a crisis and is going through substantial growing pains. That said, this is not a small amount of money by my standards, at least. So this is $24 million over 5 years, God willing. That is a full match from the university to the NIH direct costs, dollar for dollar. So we've been able to do some interesting and original things with this grant so far in the first 10 months that we've been underway. We have affiliations with U of L Health, and Jiapeng will give you a lot of detail about that. And we're starting at U of L Hospital, but hope to branch out to other U of L affiliates, including the Hospital South and its Cancer Center to assist the Cancer Center folks with their work, but also Peace Hospital as well. We also, in the grant, we documented that we had a strong relationship with Owensboro Health. Actually, I think the CIHS probably had a footprint in Owensboro Health before we did, but we certainly have expanded that footprint and strengthened it over the last 8 months. Owensboro Health is in either a large town or a small city, depending on your perspective. I think it's a small city. It's really, if you have not visited, whether you're a PhD investigator or an MD investigator, it's worth a trip. It's a very sophisticated healthcare system and a very sophisticated home hospital, well worth a visit. And they are very interested in affiliations with us and with expanding their research portfolio. So as I said, we're hoping to create a single point of access, and then for it to be a hub of the various cores that are in our proposal. But we also are trying to fulfill a role, and the NIGMS is very supportive of this, that we will in some ways promote communication and coordination among all of the IDEA programs, the COBRAs, the INBRAs, and others that are at U of L. We also, one of our innovative programs is to create a Center for Clinical Research Innovation. And this is primarily at the moment focused on the use of remote sensing, wearables, and other sensors in human research. That's led by Dr. Ted Smith. And then we want to build both the physical as well as the human capital to do clinical research. And so one of our cores is focused on professional development, very similar structure to others here. And then we have a health research core, which is our funding arm as well. And I'll get into some detail about those shortly. So this is from our proposal, and this is the organization chart. And we have partners both at the Norton Healthcare System as well as U of L Health. And Norton Healthcare, our partnership is primarily with the Pediatric Research Center there, and also partnerships with the VA. And then on the left, you can see we're partnered with U of L Health and Owensboro Health. I get to serve as the program director. We have an external advisory committee that'll meet this Friday, made up of 2 individuals with deep experience in the IDEA programs, and then one who everyone will recognize, and that's Guy Brock, who left us for Ohio State, but is still got very strong ties with the university. And then we have an internal steering committee. Jiapeng is the deputy program director. And then we have a unique structure in that we have a chief operating officer, and that's Chris Cunningham. Somewhere along the way, all of us acknowledged that with $24 million to spend, that we needed a really strong management structure. And so Chris is the ideal person to be our chief operating officer. He has a couple decades in clinical translational research with the CTU, and then before that with other organizations. And then we actually have a chief financial officer, and that's InChem, who keeps track with other folks here in the administrative core of every dollar, every penny. The administrative core is headed up by Jiapeng and myself, and included in the administrative core is Ted's work on innovation in clinical and translational research. Obviously, the management people I've mentioned, but also within there is the clinical trials unit. Our relationship with them is housed within the administrative core. And then there, what you see are the 4 individual cores. And the health research core, which is our funding arm, is headed up by Craig McLean and Matt Cave. And then our professional development core is headed up by Kenneth. I think I saw Kenneth on the call, and Max Boyachi. Our research design compliance core is headed up by Ma-Yin Kong. You can see there's a lot of overlap. If there's a Venn diagram of CIEHS and the LCTRC, there's a lot of overlap here, and some of that's because I think we paid attention to how the CIEHS had identified talent, and in some ways we found ways to incorporate them into this grant as well. And then our community engagement and outreach core is headed up by Kelly Bullard Dunn and Lucrease Kidd, and they are responsible for a variety of programs in metropolitan Louisville, but also developing community engagement and outreach in the Owensboro area, both in the city of Owensboro as well as in the rural surrounding counties in the western part of the state, moving all the way, hopefully, out to the western border of the state. It's a quick run through of the Health Resources Corps. Again, headed up by Matt Cave and Craig McLean. We have two types of projects that the Health Resources Corps offers RFAs for. The first are our pilot projects, and the goal is to test ideas with potential to develop into either K awards, K series awards, or develop research project awards, development project awards, R21s. Then the larger grants are the developmental projects. Those offer 2 years of support, potentially, for independent investigators, but also they are paired with mentors as well. This Corps also has to track all of the submissions. They have to go through the approval process, and the approval process has both an internal and external forms, and then ultimately the approvals are granted or not granted by our program officer at the NIGMS. So let's look at pilot projects. We're awarding 6 in our first year. They are 1 year in duration. Going forward, we hope to offer 4 per year. It's a $75,000 1 year award. It goes to a fellow or to junior faculty. And they also, if they do not currently have a mentor, there's a mentor that's supplied to them for their project. Here are some of the people who received pilot grants in the first year. I have to tell you, the money has not yet transferred because, as we all know, things are moving very slowly at the NIH, and we are waiting for approval from our program officer. There's some things that are, kind of interesting when you look at this, and we really are excited about it. If you look at these pilot awards so far, they are only half from the School of Medicine. There was a perspective when this award was granted that it was going to be a med school or HSC award. And we have worked really hard to make sure that that is not the case. And so you can see we have 3 from the School of Medicine, 2 from Arts and Sciences, and 1 from the Kent School. And then within the School of Medicine, you can see that we actually have 2 of the 3 come from surgical disciplines, which I think everyone needs to keep an eye on this, because our surgery specialties and our surgery department are building a real pipeline of young investigators. The real take-home message from both the pilots and the developmental grants that I took, and I think it was Craig McLean who said this first, was we probably shouldn't have been shocked at how much talent there was across this entire university, but we were surprised, and that the amount of talent that has come out is just amazing, and across all academic units, almost all academic units. The developmental projects are a little more robust in terms of funding. It's 2 years. We're going to give 2 per year, and then hopefully 4 thereafter. These are $125,000, so this is substantial money. This is more for senior faculty. But ultimately, all of these grants, the real test of them, as far as the NIH is concerned, is whether it leads to additional NIH or other peer-reviewed extramural funding, but preferably NIH. And so we're going to be tracking these very carefully in terms of performance to make sure that the NIH is getting the bang for their buck that they desire, because ultimately that is one of the major things by which we'll be judged in 4 years when we're up for our renewal. So 2 developmental grants. One is in pediatric surgery, and that's Dr. Buonpan. Really, again, you see surgical subspecialties coming to the fore and in a very intense competition. These were the two that rose to the top. The other is Dr. Mistry in neurosurgery. And Dr. Mistry let us know yesterday that his first publication coming from his grant was accepted. This is always something that makes program directors and program officers happy, is to see productivity as fast as possible. Next, I'll turn to the Professional Development Corps, and I'm going to breeze through this pretty quickly. Kenneth Palmer's on the call, and Kenneth, feel free to chime in. Co-directors are Max Boyachi from neurosurgery and Kenneth Palmer. And then you'll see Kirsty Treitman there. Kirsty Treitman is an addition that came onto the team after we received our notice of award. I think if anything has sort of revolutionized my thinking about grants in the last year, it's what instructional designers can do for all, large grants. I'm not sure small R grants can afford one, but for large program grants, Christy has just been an amazing addition to everything we do. And then over in the lower right, you can see some of the folks who are with Jerry Rabelais, who are also intimately involved in this. So the whole goal is develop the pipeline of clinician investigators, clinician scientists, regardless of what their doctoral degree is. This is ultimately focused on clinical and translational research, but it is not an MD club. It is open to everyone who is focused on clinical and translational research. And the Professional or PD Corps is building interdisciplinary teams, and then also identifying resources to help people build that pipe or fill that pipeline. And so one of the most recent additions I'll mention is that we are now rolling out an online NIH grant writing program. This is, I think we have 400 seats in the university available. And there have been a few bugs in terms of registering, and we're working those out. But this is filling that gap, because as time has gone on, the ability of mentors to take the time to sit next to someone with a red or a blue pencil and write on their grant and change it, those days are slipping behind us to a great extent. And so we have to find new ways to teach people how to write NIH grants and to do it with confidence. And that's really sort of the faculty or fellow level. But you also have to build infrastructure at the people who actually do the clinical research and who are really the providers of that research. And so we are training in new and novel ways clinical research coordinators and research nurses, as well as in extending that out into the western part of the state, as well as at U of L Health. So one of the things we've done with the university's commitment is create the Presidential Scholars. Our Presidential Scholars, this is a throwback to my early days as an academic, when I was given protected time to do research. Increasingly, the dictates of the RVU system take clinicians and make it harder and harder for their advisors and their chiefs to give them protected time. What we're doing is buying 6 months of their time in collaboration with their chairman to focus on their lab work or their field work if it's purely clinical research. Here are the first 3. You'll see 2 names that showed up on some of the other awards, and that's not an accident, that it's likely that these people are already well on their way to writing competitive grants, and they just need a little help. This will allow them to do that by having protected time. So we have Dr. Mistry and Dr. Bonpan again, And then from psychology and brain science, we have Dr. Van Jula, who studies eating disorders. I think everybody on this call knows it, but if you don't, our NIH funding in eating disorders is probably the single largest area of NIH funding in the entire university. And it may be the single largest in the country for what I know. So the other thing is developing a pipeline. Medical students are an important part of that pipeline. And so thanks to Dean Bumpus, we have now the Dean's Research Scholars. This is the one area where it is very MD focused in our program. We hope to expand it if we can find sponsors. I have been asking, just about every time I meet with somebody from industry, if they want to support an additional President Scholar. This is an opportunity for third-year medical students to have a one-year paid research fellowship. We have two awarded. Iona Palmer and Grayson Stinger are going to pursue a year of research as U of L Dean Scholars. We hope we can extend this to the nursing school as well, and other schools throughout the university, but this is just a matter of money. The competition is really intense for these awards. And if you don't understand why medical students want to do research, some of it's because they love it like we do. Some of it's because they know that the most competitive residencies require a substantial research experience. This last year, neurosurgery match, the average number of publications in people who matched was over 50 publications in order to get a neurosurgery position. Chew on that for a while. So we've also created a K cohort. This is to help people with K awards. We've got a group of experienced K mentors, and the idea, it started this spring, is to provide individualized feedback through the entire application process to gain more K awards. We seriously underperform the number of K awards at this university. And there are some real barriers to that, but everybody you see here has either had a K award or mentored a K award, and then they have access to other people like Craig McLean, who's I don't know, Craig's probably had 15 K award mentees that he's supervised, but we need to do a better job with K awards. The Professional Development Corps has a variety of other professional initiatives underway, and I won't go into them in great detail, but we've engaged with the Nature Masterclass subscriptions. We've tried to publicize this. I think we need to do a better job of publicizing it. And then I mentioned also the grant writing online courses that we're offering as well. And then finally, almost finally, our community engagement and outreach core, headed up by Kelly Bullard Dunn and Lucrease Kidd. I have to say, this core is really engaged in everything we do, and they hit the ground running. We've had a number of events, both in the Louisville metropolitan area as well as in Owensboro, and we feel like we're making real progress in establishing a bidirectional communication with the community to help them understand what we're doing and help us understand what they think needs to be at the highest priorities in terms of health studies. It's the same work that CIEHS is doing, and one of the things we intend to do in the fall is to get all of the community engagement and outreach cores together. And finally, our research design and compliance and data management core. This is a one-person director, and it's Mai Ying, who I think everyone in CIHS is familiar with her. And so we offer help with research design and clinical trials design, as well as data analysis and statistical support. The usage of this core has been very heavy. since the day that we announced it. There clearly was a real need for this. One of the foci that I'm going to finish up here, Jiapeng will talk about, among other things, is the use of electronic health records in clinical and translational research. Another area where we've worked on this for 10 years. We're getting closer to our goals, or at least our first set of goals, and I'll let Jiapeng fill you in on that. And I think at that point, I'm going to go ahead and move through the rest of the RDCD core slides and leave you with this, that our new website is up and running. It offers the ability to have access to all of the things I talked about. And then also it can explain to you where we intend to be in 1 year, 2 years, and going forward. And I'm going to get over to Jiapeng here and touch lightly. I've already touched on the core accomplishments. Okay, scan that QR code, give us feedback on the LCTRC, as well as topics that we've covered here. We love to hear from you, and hopefully we're gonna begin to engage closer and closer with the CIEHS. I'm gonna go ahead and end the slideshow here and quit sharing.
Thank you, Dr. Klein, for the excellent presentation. And I'm going to start talking about the research and some initiatives that we're working at Louisville Health, and many of those are tied to the Louisville Clinical and Translational Research Center. So I'm going to start sharing my slides. Okay. So I hope everybody can see my slides. Sure. Yeah.
Yes. Looks good.
Okay, thank you all. So I really want to give you an update on, the thing that, we've been working on at Louisville Health. What we're really trying to do is really to promote clinical and translational research at the healthcare system. So I think the first thing is we create a joint leadership for clinical and translational research center research at Louisville and Louisville Health. This is the first time that we actually have a joint research leadership for Louisville Health and Louisville. So I took on the job as the Chief Scientific Officer for Louisville Health, and I also got an appointment as Associate Dean for Clinical Research at School of Medicine. So the purpose of doing this is really because Louisville and Louisville Health are two different entities. I think many of you know, and they actually do have their own research offices at Louisville Health and Louisville, and they're certain they're not overlapping, and sometimes left doesn't talk to the right. So the idea is really to intentionally align Louisville Health and Louisville on mutual academic missions, really with the focus on clinical and translational research. And we started this project about a year ago under the leadership of Dr. John Klein and Dr. Jason Smith to really look at the clinical research process at Louisville Health and Louisville. If you want to do a clinical research, what are the other steps that you have to walk through, and what are the issues, what are the barriers that you will face? So this is a black belt project, and we started in May last year. So exactly 1 year, and we identify really 5 major barriers to do clinical research at Louisville Health and Louisville. The first one is really information exchange, and quite a few people, and so eventually we map out how many people touch research at Louisville Health and Louisville. There are about 50 people at least. And unfortunately, many of them didn't know each other very well, and most of them never met each other in person. So we got the group together, really do the whole Black Belt project to identify what are the issues. Really what we want to do is really increase the transparency and accountability, right? If you see you're going to do A or B, and we're going to hold you accountable for that. And the other issue that we found out is the information system does not talk to each other between Louisville Health and Louisville. And we're going to go over some details on how we're going to fix that. University of Louisville Health does have a research office, And they actually really doing a whole lot of things. They manage the community medical group research, do oversight, education, working with IT and the patient care team. And Louisville, the major unit that does clinical research, is really CTU, clinical trial units. And so we decided we're going to separate their duties so we don't overlap regarding what we do at both research offices. So Louisville Health Research Office will really take on the role as oversight education and management of patient care team, while the Louisville CTU really will handle all the clinical studies. From a strategic perspective, we want to really look one step further. What can we do? How can we use the resources at both places? I'm going to get into more details on the things that we try to do. And then the other thing is we do not have a standard or unified clinical trial management system. So this is really the software that will manage all your clinical trials. So this will track where your patient at and what's done. You can set a milestone. Say that this patient discharged, this patient home follow up, has this patient been billed for research? We do not have one. And there are quite a few right now, but we do not have a unified one. And then we need the resources. You need people to actually do the research. So we actually need FTEs for research, for IT, for regulatory. So we're going to go to a little bit more details into that. Dr. Klein talked about the research funding. We got the $24 million Louisville Clinical and Translational Research. And I heard that we most likely going to get the $11 million for the cancer center too. So one of the major concerns that we had when you do clinical research is my study enrolling? Am I getting patients into my clinical trials? And we have about 100 active trials at Louisville Health really anytime, and we enroll about a little over 100 patients per year. So that's about one patient per year. Realizing some of the studies are very difficult to do, so we expect low enrollment number, but we hope to increase our enrollment for 100 clinical trials. We should enroll about 150 to 200 people. So we started two things on this. One, if you have a clinical trial, clinical study, you're now enrolling for 2 months after opening, and I'm going to sit down with you and your research coordinator to figure out why. Some of those things are pretty simple things. Some of the things is because the resident comes by every month changing the medication, making your patient not eligible. Some are a little bit deeper. So how to figure those out will help you to navigate. And the other thing we're doing is there's a power plan. So this is the order set that we're putting in center. These are electronic medical record number in the hospital. So if I got a patient coming in for anesthesia, I'm going to put in the orders so everybody knows my order. So we are building a research power plan. So this plan will have all the elements that's required for clinical research, and you can modify that to your own study. You save as your RB number so everybody knows this is your study, this is your patient. If you get a question, got issues, can talk to you. We actually got a pretty decent academic medical group. So those are the physicians that practice at UofL Health, but also professor at UofL. They got a pretty decent research infrastructure for clinical research. However, for the community medical group, they really don't have one. And surprisingly, many community medical group physicians, they do a lot of clinical research. For CMG cardiology, they actually do more clinical trials than other groups. So what we have decided on, we're going to help them out. We will build the research infrastructure for those physicians, and UofL CTU will manage their research. And we are creating a RIFACON, sort of like what we did for all the research at UofL. They will have a PI RIFACON and group RIFACON under the TRSC, and it will manage their research finance, logistics, and compliance. I have met Dr. Michelle Stevenson already, Vice Dean for Faculty Development at UofL School of Medicine, and we try to define those physicians who are CMG, but they do quite a bit of research. Are they really graduate faculty? I think not. I think they do more than graduate faculty. So we'll try to redefine, reclassify where they really belong. And for the first time, so patients coming to UofL Health and UofLP, that's University of Louisville Physician Group. Those are our side, outpatient clinics. So if they come to the hospital, all the patient will have to sign a piece of document called consent to treatment. So for the first time, we are adding research language in the consent. So all the patient understands and agrees to research. So this will read like this. I understand that Louisville Health is a research and teaching institution, and my data and body parts, including organs, tissue, bone, bodily fluids, removed for diagnostic and or therapeutic purposes, may be used for teaching and research purposes. My data and body parts will be treated carefully so that I cannot be identified except as required or permitted by law. So the reason we add as permitted by law is really sometimes the study that you do. Let's say if you want to do a retrospective study, you try to figure out which patient actually had a stroke, and you need to know their name or their medical record number. So in those cases, those will fall under the HIPAA law. So the HIPAA law will protect you for that. And then we added, I agree that I do not own my body parts after removal. I have no rights to research products from these parts. And I think Dr. Gettleman, we will hold the questions at the end, if that's okay with you. Is that okay? Okay, thank you. And so as a healthcare system, we have a lot of data, right, for our patients. And in our system, we see millions of patients every year. And we have over 1,200 beds across our 9 hospitals and 4 medical centers. So there are a lot of third parties coming to us, asking for data. They said we want to use our patient data to develop AI algorithm. So there are a lot of AI companies out there that want to use our data. And however, we right now do not have agreement between Louisville Health and third party regarding how to use the data. So we have drafted MOU for Louisville Health, Louisville, and the third party regarding health data usage. And we will work with the Louisville legal team for review negotiation. This document will address the data ownership, the intellectual property, patents, and licenses. And one of the things that we want to do, and I think this is the focus for Louisville Health, is we want to perform clinically meaningful research for our patients, for our community. So all the popular clinical studies will have a clinical impact statement. So they will have to tell us why they think this research is important for our patients. And we want to translate this into clinical impact for Kentucky communities. Our goal is to really promote clinically meaningful studies at Louisville Health. And we do great research. And I think we all know that. Everybody's on the call know that. However, other people don't know it. So we got to market this. We got to let people know. So for the first time, we got the marketing team from Louisville Health, marketing team from Louisville, and also marketing team from Dr. Klein, UPR's office together. We meet monthly to discuss how we can promote research performed by AMG or CMG. And Louisville Health actually have a calendar each month regarding their patient focus, such as in February is a heart month. In May is mental health month. And we want to tie research to their calendar for marketing. So we can market at Louisville Health, Louisville, and UPR's office at the same time. And so we want to tie clinical, translational, and basic research to that calendar. I'm going to show you the calendar. So today actually is a clinical trials day. And so tomorrow I will be on WHS 11 to discuss clinical trials and research at Louisville Health. Every year we have state fairs. And so this year, for the first time, Louisville and Louisville Health will work together to have a research booth at a state fair. That's August 14th to 24th. I strongly encourage you to go there to talk to people about your research. And there are a lot of interest. So this is the calendar. You can see each month there's a theme. There's a tie to Louisville Health marketing strategies, and we want to tie the research and researcher to that. And one of the I would say one of the barriers when I talk to the physicians or the researchers is really we don't seem to talk to each other very often. So when I talk to the researchers, why don't you talk to the physicians? The general answer is they're really busy. They probably don't have time for this. When I talk to the physician, they say, why don't you talk to the basic researcher? And I'll be honest with you, I can see this. I'm a physician. Most of the time, we don't understand what you do. The stuff that you do are so sophisticated nowadays and so complex, it's very difficult for us to understand those. So we are promoting a clinical shadowing opportunity at UofL Health. So if you are graduate students right now, really for school of medicine and school engineering, so if you are a graduate student, master student, or PhD students, you want a clinical exposure, you actually can take this course. It's a non-credit, so there's no tuition to be paid. Semester-long course for clinical shadowing at UofL Health, and this is applicable for postdocs or fellows. So really the students, all the postdocs, the fellows, they really come to our hospital, come to our clinic, just shadow the physicians. You do not need to do a research project. What we want you to do is really get the clinical exposure, really see what we do, what kind of struggle we have from a research perspective. I believe this will build the bridge between the physicians and the basic researchers and engineers. And the certainly you have certain requirements, liability insurance, criminal background check, handbooks. Those are easy to handle. Those are really not a barrier at all. One thing that we think this will also be helpful regarding our recruitment. So graduate students, after they get exposure to clinical practice, they might want to do an MD PhD program or go to medical school. So hopefully we'll be able to promote that. We do want to promote multidisciplinary research. As Dr. Klein said, this is not just the physicians. This is really any clinicians, any researchers. And one example is really nursing research. So for your hospital to be called a magnet status, that's the highest status for nursing for the hospital, you have to do nursing research. It's mandatory, it's required. And we started a monthly meeting with the UofL Health Chief Nursing Officer, Sherry, and also the new Dean for School Nursing, Dr. Nash, and the new Associate Dean for Research for School Nursing, Dr. Amanda LeBlanc. So we're meeting monthly to discuss what kind of nursing research we can do and how UofL Health and UofL can support them. And we want to promote CRA, nurse anesthetist research, doctor in nursing practice, and PhD in nursing research. And I think this is a critical piece of our research enterprise. This is something I think I got really excited about it. We are in the process to build a UofL Health data warehouse for research. And before we do that, we do need legal documents, legal agreements that's being drafted. As I discussed before, our goal is really to build this research data warehouse. So instead, every time you need to know how many patients got diabetes at UofL Health and how many patients with diabetes on GLP-1. So in this data warehouse, all those can be searched and screened really quickly, really with a click. Within seconds, you will be able to get this information. And not only we're going to take the data from UofL Health, but also we're going to clean that up and make those data usable for research. And we are planning to actually have people maintain the data, make sure the quality is good, make sure we have a compliant, the data is compliant with all the rules and regulations. And also we are planning to build statistical tools in there. So these can do advanced statistical analysis automatically. So your students, they can come in and really figure out their question, clinical question or research question pretty quickly. The other thing that's exciting about this is this will put UofL Health on the map for more clinical trials. So right now, big pharma device companies, they really go to the big places, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, Harvard, to do that clinical trials. Many of them don't know that we exist. And with this, our database will become searchable. So when they search, hey, I want to do a cancer trial, then UofL Health will pop up. UofL will pop up with our resources, and then this will be able to give us more opportunity for research. And we did apply for a supplemental grant under the LC-TRSC to support this effort. And we actually, this is a joint effort between UofL Health, UofL, and the new Associate Vice Provost for Research Computing, Dr. Aurora. I'll talk about the clinical trial management system a little bit. So right now, there's really no standard system at UofL Health and UofL. You could lose millions of dollars just not being able to bill for research. And this system will significantly improve research efficiency. I'm working with the Mason Hooper CTU, UofL Health IT, and we already had 6 demos already. So we're very close to make a final recommendation to the leadership at UofL Health and UofL on which system we plan to implement. This is also a very, very exciting thing. So if you do clinical research, you understand IRB is complex, it's hard to go through, and honestly, many of us are not trained. We don't know what to do. So LCTRC has purchased Protocol Builder 2.0. So this is an AI-based software. So with many, many templates for different studies. So as when you click on the system, it will take you step by step to actually build the RB protocol and informed consent form. This is also modifiable by our own RB. So the RB will let you know what kind of information they need, and you can just go through much easier. Many times it's a one click, and actually will automatically format your references on this too. So I think this will reduce the work for RB and our researchers to do a clinical research. We also really interested in how to use AI in clinical research. So right now, if I have a clinical research project, my research coordinator, they'll go to the ICU, screen all the patients, talk to all the nurses, see, hey, which patient actually meeting the criteria. This is a very outdated now. So there are multiple AI companies out there can do this way more efficiently. So this company that we are talking to is called Katasa. So what they can do is really screen your entire healthcare system EMR and give you the patient who are eligible, who are not eligible, and give you a reason. And so they will see this patient is eligible because of this. And also the system will be able to read all the charts and learn from the chart, use large language model. They are working with us. They're actually interested in co-develop things that can do the follow-ups on their patient, right? So you don't have to manually follow up and get the data out. And the other thing I'm gonna do, and I think this is also very important, we're putting together a 15 to 20 slides document to really teach the researchers what do we want from you for clinical research at Louisville Health and Louisville. We want to talk about compliance, documentation, informed consent, publication, funding opportunity, and this will be published on pretty much everywhere. You will be notified on those. Today actually is the clinical trial day. So we just had our first clinical trials day forum. And you can see that we had many people, over 130 people sign up, and the room is packed. People are really excited about clinical research and translational research. And at Louisville Health, we have service lines, and we want to incorporate research into their service lines. My job is really to build a research arm for the service lines. We had a conversation with Louisville Health Brain and Spine Institute, sports medicine, and mental health service line on how to do that. And as Dr. John Klein said, there are actually a lot of great research not in school medicine. School social work, school public health, they do great mental health research on eating disorder, PTSD, trauma. So we try to really work with those people to connect them with our physicians at Louisville Health so we can do the research together. One thing that I started is to really do a SWOT analysis to identify the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats for research at the four top service lines at Louisville Health. Those are the cardiovascular service line, neuroscience, oncology, and mental health service line. So this is what I put in as a research strategy for our fiscal year at Louisville Health. We want to expand clinical trials and innovations really by improving research infrastructure. We want to increase patient enrollment and clinical engagement. We want to foster interdisciplinary, meaning the more the merrier. We want collaboration with the school of engineering. We want collaboration with our basic researchers. We want collaboration with the school of public health and school of nursing. And we also want to promote multi-institutional collaborations. We do not have to limit ourselves at UL. And we can work with the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, all the big players. We plan to leverage big data and AI in clinical research. You like it or not, they're coming, they're everywhere. And I think this is going to be a game changer for clinical research. We will build a data identified Louisville Health data warehouse for research. We plan to identify and implement a unified clinical trial management system. And we want to really develop our researchers. We want to give them professional development program for clinical researchers. So I'm going to stop here. All right. And I'm going to stop sharing. All right. I think we got about 11 minutes for questions. Dr. Gettleman, I think you're the first one to raise your hand. So please ask away.
Okay, here we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. 25 years ago, there was a group called the Outcomes Research Institute at the medical school. Is that still in existence? Because they were very, very helpful to me when we ran a clinical trial starting in 2003.
Right. So that group has left about almost 10 years ago. So they went to Cleveland Clinic, and actually, just a few months ago, they moved to Texas. However, the CTU was closely tied to that group. We with this grant, with the LCTRC, the CTRD grant, we almost double size the CTU. So the CTU is really a point of contact for clinical research.
Okay. My other suggestion is, having run clinical trials many places, there should be on call a psychiatrist or clinical psychologist to work on the interpersonal relations on the staff that works in a clinical trial. It almost always becomes an issue. I suggest anybody writing up proposals to include something like that, to bring in mental health people to settle disputes within the group.
I cannot agree more. I think I'm dealing with my own research group too. I think those things are tricky. So thank you for your suggestions. I fully agree.
I'm unable to help.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. All right. And you can always ask us through emails. You can always email Dr. Klein, myself, and also CIECS, our website, emails everywhere. So we're here to help. I think our goal is really to help you to do clinical translational research. And to be honest with you, I think every research done here definitely has clinical potential. And I think all those could be considered as translational research. So reach out to us if you have any questions, and don't be shy, and we're here to help.
I tell you what, we got a minute or two left. I want to ask a question of the group. If you'd raise your hand reaction on here, if you have, let's try it this way. If you have not heard about the NIH online writing course, the Bouvier course, raise your hand if you haven't heard about it.
Quite a few. We got a 5.
Let's see, 5, 6.
No.
People are having, takes a second to find your hand. Okay. So, but it's 35 people and we've got 6 that had not heard. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. And then same thing, take your hands down, the ones that are up if you would. And then the question is, raise your hand if you have not heard about either the pilot projects or the developmental projects from the LCTRC. Larry, you don't count because you're off site now. Okay. Okay. So if you haven't heard of those 2 opportunities, please raise your hand digitally. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So we did a good job of publicizing that. We've still got work to do with the online course. And as I said, I know that initially some of the drop-down menus for departments outside of the HSC were not working properly. I think we've got that fixed. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, there are a lot of resources that $24 million can buy. And these are just the beginning of those resources. So to help people write grants, to help them get funding to get grants, and then to sort of recreate the old ethic of protected time for a limited number of people, but hopefully we can persuade some of our corporate overlords to chip in.
Yeah. And I would definitely have a call out for all the CIECS members or any member to apply for the LC-TRC grants, the pilot grants and the development grants. And also you got a young faculty really want, become our level funded researcher, please apply for presidential scholars. And we will make announcement for the pilot project and development project pretty soon, probably in the next month or so. And so we'll definitely, push this out to everybody. And we do a lot of environmental research here. I strongly encourage all the environmental researchers to apply. And, I think there's a great opportunity. All right. If there's no other questions, Dr. Klein, thank you for your excellent presentation. And thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.